Hey, it's Melissa from Kiwibanana, and today I'm going to talk to you about B12. It's often a question asked to do with vegetarians and veganism, and sometimes it's used as a way to refute the idea of those philosophies, those diets, those social movements, or it could just be genuinely someone wanting to know and they're just wanting to maybe step in that sort of direction of a plant-based diet. So I guess I'm just going to go over a little bit about what it is, where is it normally found, how you can obtain it, and yeah, I think I'll start around about here. So B12 is not actually a vitamin, it's a bacteria, and it's normally found in things like soil and water, and once upon a time it would have been in abundance throughout a lot of our soil and our water, and that would have been pretty much most places all around the world. But if you're watching this video, it's most likely that you're living in quite modern circumstances, and with today's modern living comes much more cleanliness, if that's what you'd like to call it. And because of the way we treat our water now, and we're washing all our fruits and vegetables and all our food and things when it comes out of the soil, it means that that B12 is not really then getting eaten, and we're not consuming it into our bodies as much as we would have once done long ago. Now, the situation in New Zealand means, how do I put it? There's not a lot of it in New Zealand, probably almost none, should I say. There's almost no B12 in the soil and water in New Zealand, and some of that is due to the lack of cobalt that we don't have, and that kind of can help harvest, or sort of help grow B12, should I say, can help it be there, in simple terms. And also with our modern day farming practices, it means that that it's not very likely to be in our soil either. So in New Zealand, the way that they get it into the animals that are farmed here is normally through supplementation. So the animal would be supplemented it, and then if you eat the animal and or the animal's byproducts, you can obtain some of that B12 through the consumption of those things. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can obtain B12 from other ways, and another way to do it would be to, it could be any of the range of the ones I'm going to tell you next. It doesn't have to be just one or the other. It could be a mixture of them, just depending on what you want to do and how far are you wanting to take it. So one of them is to eat fortified foods that have B12 in it. So foods normally things like cereals and plant milks, and you can check the ingredient list of foods, certain sort of processed foods that will, they will usually tell you an ingredient list, and if it's fortified in B12, it would have that sort of on there, and you can investigate whether that's an animal derived or a plant derived sort of source as well by contacting the company, and normally if it's certified vegan, then it should be fine. And I guess another one of the options is if you just take the supplement yourself. I would say that this is probably quite a good way to control how much you're taking in. It's actually much easier to make sure that your levels are at a good level for you. They're not too low, and that you can take that through injection. It's hard to get an injection in New Zealand at a doctor unless you were super low levels. Otherwise you can take a liquid B12 or in a pill form, and the best form of B12 is the Methylcobalamin one. It tends to sort of digest better, and I think sometimes when people take the other form that starts with C, I can't remember how to pronounce it, sometimes it can give you a burning sensation in the mouth, and that's not something that you want to do. And then I guess the other one is probably one that a lot of people that are more into, how do I put it, so if you're quite self-sufficient, if you grow a lot of your own food, you're really into the raw foods, you don't like to eat a lot of processed foods, or maybe you don't even eat any processed foods, And that is a way that, and you don't like to take any sort of supplementation of anything, you may be able to harvest B12 in your own garden through obviously your food waste and your toilet waste. So you would need like a special sort of toiletry system to be able to do that, and not many people that I know probably were willing to go to those sort of lengths, and that's understandable, I guess, as to why people probably don't want to take that as a measure. I personally take the liquid one, and I do it every now and then. I wouldn't say I'm very frequent on it. When I've had my levels tested, they tend to come out quite high, and the levels in New Zealand actually, like when you get your medical results, they normally tell you a range, and New Zealand's B12 range is actually right at the lower end. So I don't know whether that could be saying something as to that really a lot of people in New Zealand don't get a lot of B12, and I guess they might have just lowered that measure down to say, well, you know, maybe that's normal and that's okay. And I would also like to note that a lack of B12 is something that can occur in almost any diet, and that just, like I said, it can really come down to, you know, we just don't have a lot of B12 generally in our water and soil with our modern day living. And I'm not saying that our modern day living is a terrible thing. I mean, it's definitely helped us survive and thrive better today, and the fact that, you know, we can prevent illnesses and viruses and, you know, all these sorts of bacteria that that can make us really, really sick. So yeah, so I guess that, yeah, that's really the rundown of what B12 is. It's, you know, it's not a vegan only issue. It's something that a lot of people can be low in, and it can come from a number of sources, and it doesn't have to come from eating an animal or their byproducts, because they're supplemented with B12. So wouldn't it make more sense for you just to supplement it yourself than have to filter it through another living being? Yeah, to me that's just what makes more sense. I guess to you, that's really up to you. Yeah, that's my thoughts on B12. I will leave some links to some more information down below in the description box. Yeah, I'll be interested to know if anybody has got their own sort of toilet system, composting system going, whether they can try and harvest it in their garden. There is the odd joke that runs around that if you like doing certain things in the bedroom, that you may be able to obtain B12 that way. I'm not going to go into that in this video. We're going to try and keep it as more G rated or PG rated as possible.